Hi. So now let us see in the SQL select command actually. So this is the very important command where we are going to work most of the times. Okay. So it is like a retrieving a data from the database actually. Okay. Our actual skills basing on this particular clause only select command. Okay, so because if you see on the database, what are all operations we can perform? You can select the data, you can insert the data, you can update the data, or you can delete the data. So these are the major operations you will perform on the database at any point of time. But out of all these operations, most of the times, 99% of the times we will perform this select command, so retrieving the data from the database. So that is why our actual skills basing on this select command only. So let us try to understand this select command overally first of all, and then we will deep dive further actually. Okay. So first of all, so for what purpose we are using this one? So that the select statement is used to select the data from the database actually, very simple. So whichever data you want to show as a output or whichever data you want to retrieve, accordingly, we have to write down our select statement actually. So it will retrieve the required data from the database. Okay, fine. So very important thing we must know is select clause structure. How select structure is going to be there. This must be very clear and very strict to follow whatever we are going to show here now. So that is the first one is select. So it is actually we are retrieving the data. What columns, what attributes you want to retrieve. So that you are going to mention after this select. So this is a keyword actually. Select is a keyword you must write down. And after that, in a table, what are all attributes are there or what are all attributes you want to retrieve. Those attributes you are going to mention immediately after the select word actually. And then these attributes you are retrieving from where? So definitely one of the table or more than one of the table. So that is what the tables you must mention. So these are the two things you must have whenever you are writing a select statement. Whatever other commands are also there in the select command, but those are optional actually. But the mandatory things, if you want to retrieve the data from the database, is select. That means which attributes you want to select and from which table, because database is nothing but a collection of tables actually. You are going to have many tables actually. So from which table you want to retrieve the data or from which set of tables actually. So that is what from clause must be there. And after that you have where. So sometimes actually here set of columns, so that is nothing but this is nothing but columns only, as we seen already earlier. And here you can filter the columns actually. You can either you can display all the columns in a table or some of the columns you can display. So that means what you are filtering the columns. Now when it comes to the where, here we will write the condition so that whoever satisfying that particular condition, which row is satisfying that condition, only those rows corresponding attribute values you are going to display. So that is nothing but filtering your rows. Here filtering your columns, here filtering your rows. So this is the whenever you have any condition. And then you are going to have group by clause. So this is especially we are using for the groups actually. So similar kind of data whenever is there under any column. So you are going to all similar data part, you are going to group them on those, on that group you want to work actually. So that we will see very clearly in the separate lecture. Okay. And then having clause. So here where is used to filter the rows and having is used to filter the groups actually. So here we are setting the groups, right? So those groups here you can filter. Sometimes some groups are not required. So such a groups, if you want to skip from the output, then you can have having clause. And after that, you want to display the data. This is for displaying the data in the output actually. So in which order you want to display, that is what two orders you have, that is either ascending order or descending order. Of course, we will see every clause separately. In the separate lecture, every clause we are going to see very clearly. Okay. So this is what the structure of the select actually. And in this, all these 6 clauses, this is the mandatory part. So these two, select and from, see from which table you want to retrieve the data and what attributes you want to display. So that is why these are the minimum 2 things you must maintain. And after that, basing on the requirement, you can use any of these things actually. And all of them also at once you can use actually. And now, so this is what the first of all structure of a select statement. And after that, if you see, because here we have total 6 clauses, and of course many other also is possible, but these are the basic clauses actually. Now what we are going to see is which clause you are going to execute first, which clause you are going to execute last. So that evaluation process, in which order it is going to happening, let us observe that also. That is also very important. So now you see that is what order of evaluation. So here that is very simple. First of all, which clause you are going to execute. So that is what from clause actually. Because overall you are working on the tables only. First of all, that table data you must select. On that data only, either select clause, where clause, group clause, having clause, order clause, anything is going to work. So the first source is actually the from. So from the clause, in the from clause, we are going to have a tables or a table. That table data, first of all, you have to retrieve. That is why from clause is going to execute first. After that, you are going to filter the rows basing on the condition we will return. Okay, so maybe some rows are skipped because whenever condition is not meeting actually. So on that data, you are going to group them if you have a group class, group by class. Okay. And then if your group by clause is there and may or may not have having clause. So if you have a having clause, then having clause is going to evaluate. So this is what is going to order of execution. And after that, sometimes in the attributes here, we are going to have a expressions also. So after what data you want to select, what data you want to display, that data is filtered, that data, final data is ready. On that, you can have, sometimes you may have expressions in the select clause. So you execute those expressions. And after that, we are going to have distinct, because final data you selected already. That data, distinct as name implies unique data, no duplicates are allowed. Of course, we will see this also separately, let it be. So distinct is going to apply on this set of attributes. And after that, if you have set operators, so set operators are like a union, intersection, difference. So we have different set operators are there. If you have set operators, after final data, after the entire data, what you want to display, that means rows are filtered, columns are filtered, everything is filtered. The final data, whichever is there, on that you are going to apply the set operators if you have. And then the after final data is ready, even after if you have set operators, even that also completed, then you are going to display the data in a specific order. That may be ascending or descending basing on the mentioned thing actually. So this is what the order of evolution whenever you have a select statement. This is very, very important because whenever we are writing any query, okay, first of all, this order we must maintain, and for better understanding or for better efficiency or for better optimization part, we must know in which order all these things are going to execute. Okay, so this is what something about the select clause, and let us deep dive upon this select only in the coming lectures. Hi. Now let us try to understand more about this select statement actually. So as we are saying that we are always retrieving the data from the table. So in our course, especially throughout this SQL part in this chapter, we are going to use the one table. So this is what the table we are going to use. So this table is more than enough that for any scenario discussion. Okay, so that is what, let us just try to understand. Let us make this table well familiar so that whenever we are discussing, things are going to become very easy. Okay, so here you see table name is EMP. It's nothing but employee table actually. And in this table, total we have 8 columns. That is nothing but 8 attributes are there. And in this, EMP number is actually a unique, you can say this is a primary key, okay, as we discussed earlier. So this is a primary key. Every value here is, it is unique and you don't have null values. That is what primary key, right? And then employee name you have and what kind of job he is. So that is what clerk, salesman, manager, analyst, president, these are the different categories actually, job categories. And MGR is nothing but manager. So for the Smith, for example, for the Smith, who is the manager? 7902. So who is the 7902? So here 7902 is the Ford. Ford is the manager for Smith actually. So that is what, for every person, one manager will be there except president. So president is the top level person, right? So he don't have any manager actually. So that is why whenever any column, any cell is empty, that is nothing but you have a null value, because this is also matter very important actually. That also we will see. Okay. So empty cell meaning is null. Okay. So that we will handle separately. That discussion also there. Okay. So this is what MGR is nothing but manager. So hire date when he joined, and the salary. What is this salary? This is in terms of the dollars assume, and this is the commission. For each employee you have commission, and here more empty cells are there. That is nothing but null actually. Okay. This is DEPT number. So DEPT number means a department. So under which department these employees are working. So actually we have another table department that also we will show you whenever required. So time being, just a department number here we are displaying. So that is another table actually, as we've seen in the normalization, when we split for the different for handling different anomalies. Department is one separate table and EMP is another table. So department is actually a parent table and here employee is a child table, because this department number is the primary key in the department table. Okay, so that is the reason here. This is a primary key we can say. Sorry, this is a foreign key actually we can say. So its originality is there in some other table. Okay, so this is what the table first of all we are going to use throughout our SQL part. Okay, now let us see how to retrieve the data from the tables in a simple manner. So but this is because we are writing the first query now. So let us see in a simple manner. So if you see the syntax of a select statement, so select is a keyword you must write down. So it need not be always capital letters. Anything is fine, small letter or capital letter, that is fine. And then which columns you want. So which column you need, those column names you just mentioned separated by a comma actually. After mentioning the all columns, then you write down the from, that is also mandatory keyword. And these columns, especially these columns, from which table that we are mentioning. So they're very simple actually. So that is what, if you see, then this is what the first thing. Now here we told every column you have to mention separately. But sometimes I need all the columns actually, because sometimes some table may have more than 10 columns or 20 columns. Sometimes maybe 15, more than 50 columns will be there. So writing every column separately is not recommended thing. And you need all the columns at a time. At that time, simply use the star in this position, in the select clause. That is what. So if you use select star from EMP, then entire data is going to come as a output. What is that? This one that you can see. So this is the output you got for this command actually. Okay, so whenever you need, you don't want any filters in the columns, then you use the star. If you need only specific columns, then this is the syntax as we mentioned. So you can see I need only MP number, ename and department number. And from which table? These column names must present in the table actually, whatever you are mentioning. Okay, so that is what actually here you can see. So output is EMP number, ename, DUPT number. So in this way, whatever columns you need that you mention in the select clause, only those columns are going to come actually. And one more thing is, EMP number is the first column, after that ename and then department number. But you want to change the orders actually, order of display. So for example, I need first ename. So then simply you write down select. First I need ename. So give ename. And then I need a department number. And then I need EMP number. So you just give. So here, whatever order you are mentioning, that is nowhere related to the order you have in the original table. This is the original table. Okay, so in which order you want to display the columns, in that order you can mention actually in the select clause. And of course, after that from table name. So that is EMP and terminate with colon. So this is what actually the first thing, in what way you want to display the data. Okay, so now here let us see one simple thing. So let us write down the some queries actually here. I need commission and salary. So what we can write down? So we need only commission and salary of every employee. So every employee means let us display his number and salary and commission. So that is what you can see. Select. So whose salary? That is why EMP number let us display. So EMP number, and we need salary and we need commission. So that's it, right? And from which table these columns are there? So that is what from always. So we are retrieving these columns from EMP table. So that's it. So very easily you can filter the columns actually. Unnecessary columns you can skip, and the necessary columns only you mention in the select clause. So let us just display every employee name and his job. What under which category he is working. So that is what in that case what we will write down. So select. So ename, we need only ename and his job. So that is what job. So these two columns from which table actually? So from EMP table. So like this, you can mention only one column you can mention. So that is what I need only, for example, I need only MGR. So see, so here in the output, how many rows it is going to display? You just count first of all how many rows are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 14 rows are going to get actually output here. And here also output is 14 rows. Always remember that this is also important for us. 14 rows you are going to have in this table and 8 columns we are going to have. That is what. Okay, so EMP number, ename, job, MGR, hire date, sal, commission, department number. Totally 8 columns, 14 rows we have. This is also required. Sometimes we need actually. So I want to just display. See now the magic. If you see, I want to just display commission part. So that means select only commission. Why I am writing this part? Let us see. From EMP table. So what is going to happen is output. How many lines it is going to display actually. So though you have null here, everything it is going to display. So that means total 14 rows it is going to display. As it is, this entire column data is going to display actually. Okay, there is no filter actually. Null values also as a with the empty cell, it is going to display actually. Okay, so this is what simple thing how we are going to have a select statement, and it's a syntax. If you need all the columns, then you put a star in the select clause so that all columns are going to come in the output. Or if you need a specific columns, at least one column must be there. At least one attribute, and more than that, any number of attributes which those must exist in the corresponding table, which you are mentioning in the from clause actually. Okay, so this is the very basic thing we must understand, because select statement we are going to use in the 80% of the course in the SQL chapter. Okay. Right. So now let us see in the select clause, whenever required, we can use the keyword distinct actually. So this has specific reason as name implies actually. So if you see here, why we are using for the distinct. So this is used to return only distinct values as name implies. That means it will eliminate automatically duplicate values actually. So sometimes you need old data, though the duplicates are there under any specific column, but sometimes you don't need duplicate values actually. So whenever you have such a requirement, we can go for this one. That is why this is an optional keyword actually in the select clause. So if you see it's a syntax distinct, and if you you are going to take the set of columns here. Set of columns all together. If any duplicate rows are there, those rows it is going to remove actually, because those are the duplicates, right? So in that way it will eliminate actually. So that we will see. And of course, see, after entire result is ready, upon that result, if any duplicate rows are there, those rows automatically it is eliminated. So only one row it is selecting actually. So for example, if you see here, simple example, job is one column here. You can see job is one column. We want to display only one job. See, without having distinct keyword, it will return 14 rows actually. 14 rows it will return without this distinct. But with the distinct, you can see how many rows it will return. So that is what you can see. So the output is, you can see clerk, salesman, and here salesman is there, here salesman is there, here salesman is there. All these are the duplicates. So only one value it is returning. So clerk only one time, manager only one time, analyst only one time, president only one time. So this is what, whenever you have such a requirement, you can go for the distinct keyword. Is it clear? So normally it will return 14 rows. Now you have 5 unique values in this column. So all those 5 columns it is going to display actually. Okay. Sometimes you have more than one attribute here in the select class. At that time you can see here job and manager. So here you can see one different thing you must understand. People will confuse that this distinct keyword you are applying only on this column. No. So these two columns are there. Upon these two attributes, if any duplicate values are there, for example, you can see here clerk 7902, clerk 7902 combination as a single value. So if clerk 7902 anywhere there, then that it is not going to return. For example, you can see salesman 7698, together one combination, same combination here you have, that it is not going to return. And manager 7839, and here manager 7839, repeated. These two things is not going to come. Only these circled combinations are going to return. That is what actually, whatever attributes you mentioned here, out of all those attributes, okay, rows if you take, only unique rows it will return actually. So in that way, 7 analyst here is there, 7566. And here also analyst 7566. This is not going to come. Is it clear? Now salesman 7698. Here salesman 7698. So this is also not going to come. Of course, president and null unique. So that is going to come. And clerk. See here, clerk 7902. Here clerk 7788. So both combinations are different. So this is going to come. And clerk 7698. So do you have 7698 till now with clerk? No, this is also going to come. And clerk here 77782, you don't have actually. So such a way here salesman 7698. So this also you can remove. So in such a way, whatever attributes you mentioned in that combination, duplicates are going to eliminate as it is mentioned in the definition. So that is what you can see the output of this query. See here. So here clerk 4 times are there, but with the combination of MGR, it is unique action. So that is what here total we have we have 8 rows are there. So here also 8 rows we have in the output. So in this way, whenever you have a distinct values, you need distinct values on the attribute combination. So go for the distinct keyword actually. Okay. Hi. So till now we've seen that select class and from class. Okay. So now let us explore more on this actually. So we are going to extend with where clause actually. So you see, especially select clause, what you are mentioning in the select clause, we are mentioning the attributes actually. That means column names we are mentioning. So that means whichever columns we need, only those columns you are placing there actually. So that means you are filtering the columns actually. So that means your attributes filter is done. But sometimes you have to filter the rows also. I don't need specific rows. Okay, so those rows if you skip and required rows only you want to display. So for that we are going for the where clause actually. So that is what actually where clause is used to filter the records. That is nothing but for filtering the rows. So that is what it is used to extract only those records that will fulfill the specified condition. So in case of columns filtering, you just mention column names actually. But in case of rows filtering, we are going to eliminate by using the a condition. Which record is satisfying this condition, those records are going to return, and which are not satisfying, those are not returning actually. That means you are displaying. So that is what, let us try to understand its syntax, simple manner. So now we are not concentrating on this part, select clause. This is not required for us. Now this is done already. So whichever columns you mention, or if you need all the columns, you can mention star and a table name. So here you are mentioning the condition. That is what. So here whoever satisfies this condition, only those records you are selecting. So for example, for more better understanding, if you are doing especially this where clause first time, so you can see here simple example. So that is display employee details whose job is clerk. So you can come to the under the column job, come to the job. Here if you observe, we need only clerk information. Is it or not? He is asking only clerk's information. So this record must come. And here one more clerk, this record, this record, this record. Only 4 clerks are there. These 4 clerks details only we need. That is what Smith, Adams, James, and Miller. So what we can write down actually, you can see we have to select. And he mentioned employee details. That means we are going for the star because all columns is required. All columns are required. And from the table is EMP. Now condition is what actually? So job must be clerk. So that you can observe in the query, you can see. So we need all columns, so store from the table EMP. So especially the condition part you observe there. So in the condition part, what we are writing, job is equal to clerk. So under job column, whoever have a clerk, only those records it will return. So the output, if you see, this is what. So you can see Smith is the clerk, Adams is the clerk, here Adams is the clerk, James is the clerk, and Miller. This is what we've seen already, is it or not? So that in that way, you can write down the condition. This is what you try to concentrate. And this is very, very important because you are going for the most of the times filtering the rows, then the columns. Columns filtering is simple. Only mention the column name. But you have to filter the rows, our actual analytical skills, our logical thinking, basing on this where clause only. And another example, if you see, display employee details whose job is clerk. So here, actually, instead of this one, whose department is 10 actually. Okay. So whose department is 10. So only 10 department employees we need. So that is what you can see. Whoever is working under the 10th department. So now you are filtering on this column, whoever have 10. So simply DAPT number, that column name. So here in the condition, simply column name you will mention. And of course, here I am using equal. There are another operators are also there. And here value you are going to write down simply. Condition is nothing but. So on the operator is need not be always equal. So that part we will see separately, how many operators and what are those meanings. So in this case, we need only under the department 10 who are working. So in the condition part for the column department number equal to 10, if you write down, this is what the output we are getting. So in this way, by using the where clause, we can filter the rows actually. So this is just a basic thing of the where clause. We are going to see many things in this where clause actually. So that as we are moving step by step, we will see all those things. Okay. Hi. So now let us see here different operators we are going to use in the where class actually. Okay. So actually we've seen in the last lecture only one operator, that is equal operator. But sometimes we need other operators also basing on the requirement. So that is what, of course, these are the well familiar operators only. So that is greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. And this is the symbol for not equal. And not only this, of course, you can use this one also for the not equal symbol. Okay. And these are other operators you can use. These things separately we will see actually. And these have separate lectures we need actually. So let it be these last three, and these six operators, okay, very regular operators. Their meanings also very simple. Okay, so for just practice purpose, let us write down few queries basing on the given statement. So it's recommended that please try yourself first of all, write the query basing on the given thing, and then you cross check what we are writing here. Okay, so now here list the employees whose salary is greater than 1500. So he is asking the condition on the salary column actually. So what you can write down? So here you see he is not asking any specific columns in the output actually. So that means he need all the columns in the output. So that is why select. Since we need all the columns, we are going for the star. And from where you need the data? From the employee table. So that is what from table name is EMP. So that is what table name is here, EMP. And now the condition part, now actual part, where salary must be greater than 1500. So that is why here I am going for the where what actually column name is sal. So salary must be greater than 1500. So that's it. Very simply we can write down. Is it clear? So on which column he is asking the condition, you identify that column or attribute, and whatever that, Basing on that operator you select, write down accordingly. That's it. So now let us try to write down another query. So list all employees except managers. So this is a little tricky. So how you will write down? We don't need managers, but other employees required actually. So how you can write down? So here you can see, first of all, here also, he is not asking any specific column. So that is why we are displaying all the columns. So that is select star. From the table is EMP, of course, as usual, EMP. Now come to the where class, where. So now you see, he is asking the employees except managers. So managers, where under which column actually we have managers, this job category, right? So under this column, we have to put a condition. So which is the suitable operator for this one? So except manager means if it is not equal to manager, then those employees we need, right? So that is what, where job type not equal to manager. If it is not equal to manager, then we can take them. So that is what you can see here. For example, it will see how the execution is also going on is, it will come to the first row. Let us see on this. So that for every query also same way we will see actually. For the first row, it will come to the first row, and wherever condition is there, job. So going to the job value, clerk. Clerk not equal to manager. Yes, it is true, right? So this record is going to return. And then it will go to the next row. Same thing, salesman. Salesman not equal to manager. Condition true. So this is also going to return. So like that next column, salesman going to return. But now here, manager equal to manager. So actually here capital, here small, that is not a problem actually. That we will handle accordingly. Okay. So manager is not equal to manager. Actually, manager is equal to manager, right? So this record is not going to return. This is not going to come in the output. And same way, next also not going into the output. Next also not coming in the output. And this is coming because analyst, president coming, salesman coming. So there is no manager further. So all records are coming actually. So out of 14, these three are not coming. That means 11 records it is returning. So that means 11 rows you are going to have in the output. That is very important. Sometimes if it is a competitive exam or any interview, they will ask how many rows it is going to return. So that is also matter. Observe that only 3 managers are there in the job under job column. So only those records is going to return. Now let us try to write down another query. So that is list the employees who are working in the department 10. So I think this is a very simple one. So list the employees. So all employees is asking. So select star from EMP table name, where, see here I am writing where in the same line. Here we written in the different line. Don't think that both of them different. So you can write in the single line, or you can write down different separate line, each clause. Select clause in one line, from clause in one line, where clause in one line. That is not a matter actually. So where DEPT number is 10. So that's it. Okay. So, and then another query, if you see, display the details of the employee Turner. So only Turner is what actually under in this table. Turner is actually a employee name. So that employee details we need actually. So that's it. We will write down select. Only one employee details it is asking star from. You can write down small letters also. These keywords select from where, all these things from EMP. So here we will write down where ename actually. Turner is here. Ename, where ename is equal to Turner. So only Turner, this entire row is going to come as a output. So here only one row is going to return actually. So in this way, so here just main information is what are all other operators we have. So those operators you can use basing on the given statement or basing on the requirement. Okay.